Hello and welcome to Left Night with Kendra Dossie, and here's your host, Kendra Dossie.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Zach. How are you doing this lovely evening?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Just kind of taking it easy.
Sounds good. That's great.
Yeah, and just doing some stuff around the house. Was watching Living Single earlier today.
An incredible series.
Great show. Never watched it before.
Really?
I'm watching it for the first time. Very good show. Very good sitcom.
It's like the better, blacker version of Friends.
That was my understanding of it.
Yeah.
That it was like the black version of Friends, and then I started watching it, and I'm like, no, this is nothing like Friends because it's funny.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, I grew up on that show. My mom would play it all the time, and I probably learned about some weird like relationship sex stuff being a 5-year-old watching the show.
They're very horny on the show.
They are so horny.
Which I guess living single is it's sort of implied and
but like I don't think that being that horny is allowed on television anymore because now we have like more like Christian people, but back in the day they were just like, wow, like it was just women being like, wow, I want to get railed, and now it's like, oh, you can't mention.
Yeah, it seems like I think teens are still allowed to be horny. Like I haven't watched Euphoria, but that's my understanding of what Euphoria is. It's just,
but it's like teens having like sad sex. It's like they're on drugs and having sex.
Yeah, I guess that's like I guess Living Single is like Prozac Nation or whatever, where we all just became highly medicated and our hormones were running wild.
Yeah, but Living Single is great.
Yeah,
I highly recommend to anyone watching. Actually, I don't even. Okay, if you're watching on Twitch or anywhere, watch Living Single. I think it's on Hulu, right?
It's on HBO Max.
Oh, I thought it was on Hulu. Okay.
It might be. It might also be on Hulu, but that's what I'm watching it on.
I don't know what the streaming shit is. Anyway, so this week we've both had busy weeks, but we'll talk about some political stuff. Zach, what's on your mind?
Yes. Well, of course, as always, if there's something you think we got to get to, leave that in the comments so that we can be sure to cover all of the goings on. Well, I really feel like if something major happened, I'm not attuned to it. I mean, all right. Well, I guess the major thing that we need to probably discuss is that the U.S. is sending what they're calling military aid to Haiti. But that's not what the U.S. does, especially in Haiti. It's
probably it's definitely more nefarious than that.
Right. I mean, even the phrase military aid is sort of like a very like soft way of like militaries don't aid, they destroy things.
Yes, exactly. And then the current so you probably know a little bit more about this than I do, but the current government was installed by us or supported by us, but but it is not popular. Like I know there was some like recent kind of like things going on with the president and like kind of talking about like who should be next leader of Haiti, but I forgot how we fucked with that as America.
So the previous president, about a year or so ago, got assassinated.
Yes. Okay.
Who was also a U.S. puppet type of guy. He was somebody who could have been removed because his term was up. Decided sort of arbitrarily that he had 1 year left in his term. And the U.S. decided to back him in deciding that, yes, he does still have another year of his term. And then like 3 months later, he was killed by special forces that definitely had they were like Colombian, but also probably the U.S. has gone out of their way to like seal a lot of documents that might be like saying what the U.S. knew about these particular guys.
Yeah.
so that's what happened a year ago. They had a very short acting government under a different guy who like had long U.S. ties and was like part of the sort of color revolution. It wasn't like a full color revolution, but was like sort of like the supposed student activist group that had Aristide kicked out of office in 2004. Probably the last one of the probably the only legitimate leader of Haiti in the last 50, 60 years. That guy was the short-term acting guy, and then they decided they're going to have the acting government he gave it to was led by the current president, Ariel Henry. So we're just like several layers of these people just sort of being installed for the idea of some sort of like stability, and that stability has not ever really manifested in anything. Part of it is because the Haitian people are very proud people who don't, the U.S. has tried to instill their will on them many times, and they don't want that.
Yes.
And then part of it is that a lot of people are having there are troubles right now, and so the reasoning that the U.S. and the UN and Canada, which again a long-standing sort of motif on Left Nite is Canada actually sucks too, quite a lot.
Yes.
Is that Canada is doing a lot in this, and their idea is that there's gangs that they have to. The gangs are what's causing the uprisings and the incivility in Haiti, and that's a sort of a very much of like a half truth.
Because it's not the entire story.
Because there is problems with gangs right now, and with the instability, a lot of gangs are trying to, you take this opportunity to increase their sort of power, but the people are in the streets because of high food costs, because there's warehouses full of rice of like U.S. aid that's just sort of just sitting in the warehouses, not being touched, while people have nothing to eat, and so it is something that is like the reasoning behind it. They're saying is the gangs, but the reality is that the gangs are only a small problem, and the gangs are not what is causing people to not accept this government as a legitimate one. It is the actual problems of the regular everyday people. That's why people are out in the streets. That's why, it's gangs. You don't necessarily usually associate gangs with large protests because they don't have the numbers for that type of stuff.
Yeah, and gangs, if you're in a smart gang, you're not going to want to be very obvious with
right.
You do.
Right. Yes. But yeah, so the U.S. is sending military aid, and I don't know if you saw this. I noticed it and I shared it. That basically now on Twitter, when people are saying like the U.S. invaded Haiti, Twitter's putting like a little context.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And
yeah, it's like, this is out of context. We're not invading Haiti. Also, like, people are reporting about it, and it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yes. But yes, I mean it's very silly to pretend that like a few articles here and there are the equivalent of reporting on something, especially considering like when the U.S. puts military in a country, like that's generally story 1A in a news cycle. Certainly things that are going on in Ukraine are story 1A in a news cycle right now.
Yeah.
So for that to just sort of not be, like CNN has an article about it, that's not really an adequate response, and it's very I don't know. I don't think most Americans understand their own country's history with Haiti. I don't think most of them can point to Haiti on a map.
No, that's definitely true.
But
I think most Americans only associate Haiti with Wyclef Jean and
right.
The earthquake about a decade ago. Like I don't.
That's pretty much the extent of most Americans' knowledge of Haiti. And you know, and they associate maybe some of the more like politically in tune will think of like Barack Obama saying like, now they're the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and then not sort of examining what sort of things led to that scenario.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, Haiti. Yeah, Haiti from like the very beginning of that country being founded, and this is something we discussed on the show. You know, other countries had explicit sanctions about towards them because it was a country started from a slave revolt, and I think like France was like, "Oh, you owe us for the slave masters you killed," which was or the like people who were slaves who are no longer slaves because they liberated themselves.
Right, was a debt that the U.S. later bought from them. So then, for a while, the U.S. also owned that debt.
Yeah, but basically, like a lot of the bigger nations of the world have been screwing over Haiti for decades, and talking about any issue with or anything going on in Haiti, kind of irrespective of that, doesn't really tell the full picture.
Right. Yeah, which is why it's funny for a Twitter like little blurb that wants to give context, but doesn't want to actually give context.
Exactly.
It's very That's why words like context and nuance are sort of like oftentimes very weaselly, because they only really apply to the sort of hegemonic where the hegemony wants nuance. That's where the word nuance is just most commonly applied, especially in things like fact checking.
And I guess like in goofier news, no one likes the new Prime Minister of England. I think they're like quitting because and like I forgot why people don't like her as opposed to anyone else from the Tory government. I'm not really like, do you know why? Is it just because she's like not pleasant, or like everyone's mad about like energy prices? Like I don't know.
So there's an energy crisis, and she appointed like a money guy to handle everything. Ooh. And nobody likes this guy either. Everything is pretty much across the board. Like the way that they want to handle it is like austerity and higher taxes for the middle class.
Yeah.
Which it turns out is not a particularly popular stance.
I could imagine.
Yeah, and they basically they've already had Boris Johnson resigned a few months back, and basically if she resigns, it will basically trigger a new. I don't totally understand how like elections get called in that silly little island, but basically the Tories. She's massively unpopular, but the Tories need her to still be there because as soon as she steps down, all of the an election will be called, and then all the Tories are going to lose their. They're going to lose their seats. I saw like a map like explaining this like in American terms of like how bad the Conservative Party is doing, and like the American equivalent would be like if the polling was saying that like the Democrats were going to sweep Utah, like.
Okay, so they're doing really bad.
Yes.
You know what? I'm not mad at, or like, don't feel bad for them. I hope they suffer. I hope the Tory Party has been around since like the 1770s, when America wasn't a nation state yet. Like, that's how long they've been around. Whenever someone's like, oh, like, I hate the Tories, you know, Revere says that it's the same party. I mean, I'm sure like the ideology has changed, but it's the same party. So
I mean, even back in like Tory was what they would oftentimes call the like the pro UK colonists, like the rich colonists who were non-secessionist. They were called Tory. Like that's how long that name. And also, like almost all of the leaders have been Tories. Like for like almost like Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher, pretty much anybody you can name who's ever been in charge of the UK was a Tory. The only real Labour guy who was in there for any decent amount of time was Tony Blair, who started or was one of the architects of the Iraq War. So like,
I didn't realize Tony Blair was Labour. Wait, was he?
Yes.
Really?
He was. Yes, he's the only one. Like the Labour had like one shot of being in charge. And they used it to start the Iraq War.
God damn. I had no idea he was Labour. That's so. I'm
right. Well, because it's like Clintonian type of things where like the nominally left party just because of like Cold War politics and deindustrialization and destruction of unions. Like they just become so non a factor anymore that they have to pivot to this like third way type of politics, not unlike America, and then you see Bill Clinton and Tony Blair both come to power around the same time with the same thing. They're like, what if the left party just started doing all of the things that the right party likes to do? What and then you get a small amount of control by doing that, but otherwise make your whole sort of political thing like ungovernable. And then that's where you get somebody like Jeremy Corbyn coming in and saying like, actually, what if we didn't have policies that suck, and then the existing sort of Blairite side of the party just handicaps them,
Yeah. God.
Yeah. So that's where they are with. So Keir Starmer, who is the new Labour leader, who is more Blair than he is Corbyn, will most likely become a prime minister at some time soon, and it will have bad consequences because when that's like, when you're envisioning of the left side of the, I know they have a parliamentary system, so there are other parties. Personally, I'm rooting for the Scottish Nationalist Party.
I want Ireland to be united, and I want Scotland to like just separate. Wales, even if Wales separated, I just want
because there are more separatist groups than you realize in the UK. Because then there's also like the middle, like the northern England, like between like the London area and Scotland, they want to separate. I forget what they call themselves. And then also there's like people in Cornwall, which is like one of the peninsulas to the like southwest. Cornwall would like to separate. That's not as big of a separatist movement, but like that would be great if the UK just started breaking up. That would rule.
I think it would be really cool.
Yes, because the Scottish almost left in like 2014 or whatever. Like they held a referendum and it was close, and then that was before Brexit.
Brexit has made things worse. Yeah,
it's made things worse, and it was Scotland was like one of the sections that was most opposed to Brexit. So if the question had been like, would you rather be part of the UK or the EU? If it was put up to that simple of a vote, I think that Scotland probably would have voted to be in the EU if they only so yeah, hopefully. And as everybody knows, on Star Trek: The Next Generation, they predict an Irish unification of 2024. So hopefully,
knock on wood, inshallah.
Inshallah, yes.
I hope it happens. Yeah, I wish I knew more about British politics, but I do want.
Why? But why? Why do you wish?
Just so I could like realize how ridiculous everything is. Like, I know no one likes Liz Truss, but I want to know exactly how awful it is. Also, someone pointed out how funny it would be if Charles died before he was crowned, and then Britain was in even further chaos.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because he doesn't get crowned for like a year or something like that, right?
It's a while. Yeah.
That's so.
He could die.
Why though? Why is he not just?
I don't know what the fuck they do at that tiny little island.
When Kennedy got killed, they had LBJ swearing in on Air Force One like immediately afterwards. How do you
okay, I mean, I know there's a lot of conversations about the king, and like I don't think they're 100% of they're. I'm not saying they're not political, but I don't think it's not like, oh, this is the head of the nation. It's like, oh, this is like, it's like the cultural head of the nation. So he just needs to like
he's the head of state, not the head of government.
Yeah. Oh, so they have to plan the party, maybe.
Oh, yes.
Die before that party.
They're gonna have they have to cut so many cucumber sandwiches.
They need to like spread so much whatever the fuck they put on cucumber sandwiches.
Yeah. And the best tea. They have to invade another country to get the best tea.
And then there's a woman whose name is Suella Braverman who resigned, and that name just sounds like a Disney villain, but like she's a real person. Suella.
Is she British?
She is British. She's her family's background is Indian. So I looked this up earlier today because I was like, what the fuck name is Suella? So her, I think one of her parents is Goan Indian, and Goa was a Portuguese. Yeah, it was a Portuguese colony. So her maiden name was Fernandez. And then her mom was, I think, a Tamil Indian, but lived in like Kenya. So it's like a few diasporas. Regardless, she sucks because she's conservative.
She got her family got shuffled around among the British colonies.
Yeah. So she quit. Shaps replaces her despite plotting against Truss. Chief Whip resigns amid chaotic late night vote. Yeah, it just seems like very messy, and I am here for it. I'm here for the drama of British politics. Like, I want to read it like a tabloid paper. And I hope it would be funny if Liz Truss was like, oh, I can't be prime minister anymore. No one likes me.
Yes. But the funnier thing would just be like, nobody likes me, so I'm going to continue being.
Which she might do. Think about how many people have done that. You know, it definitely happens.
It's definitely I mean, that's the move. If you're no longer worried what the what the population at large thinks of you, that's like, now you have the power, and you can just maybe she could pass a law like requiring, like, making it illegal to boil food, and like everybody in England would hate her, but she would greatly improve the country as a whole.
Probably. It also helped out with the energy crisis if people had to find other ways. They had to eat cold things. I don't know. Well, yeah, I know it's 9:00 now. I think that is basically well, I mean, I know so many things happen all the time.
Some lady in Massachusetts showed up at an eviction and released a bunch of bees.
Wait, good for her.
More power to this lady.
Good for you, lady. Good job.
She's just we all would that we all harness the power of the bee in solidarity.
And use it to make sure people don't get evicted from their homes.
Yes. Yeah. What's the sheriff going to do if he's covered in bees?
Great question. We don't know. We don't know. That I'm very excited about that. There are still protests in Iran, which I hope everyone there's okay.
And in terms of like, let's be happy that we talked about the things that we talked about for enough time that we did not have to talk about Kanye at all. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, let's ignore Kanye. Anyway.
He feels the pressure under more scrutiny. And what does he do? Act more
stupidly. You are so right. God.
I mean, he told us all what he was going to do, so we can't even be that mad.
He has been doing it. Yeah, there's there's a lot of protests in Iran. There's been, lots of, there's been protests, waves of protests since like 2009, even before. But let's make sure that sorry, I'm like reading the like different slogans and different words. So solidarity with those in Iran who would just like to not wear mandatory hijab. I get that, and not like to be beaten by police, which I also don't want to be beaten by police. So
and above all, Magbar America.
All right, that is a great note to end on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Stick around next week. I think it will not be honorable mentions tonight, but also just watch the other things on this channel because there's a lot of cool things on the channel. So you should watch it. Watch it all. All right. Good night, everyone. See you next week.